Chris, quick question. So tonight was the first night I trained my mom in person. I finally was able to talk her into let me work her out, and she's like mid 50s, closer to 60 years young, and she is on her feet all day, just kind of running around in a kitchen area that she works at, a coffee barista. And she was saying, for me, I felt like conflicting information because she is struggling with lower back pain, but her hamstrings are always tight. But she's thinking in the back of her head, she gets up every morning and she does her 30-45 minute walk on the treadmill, sometimes does an incline, and then she's on her feet for all day for 8 hours. And when I was doing an assessment, I was just like, okay, but bend down, touch your toes, let me see. And she's got just this humpback and two little twig legs. And I'm just wondering, like, obviously for strength, like, she thinks that she needs to stretch. And if her hamstrings are already tight,
yep.
Get her back.
The example I like to use with tightness is we got to get into the client's mind. And I was working with a nurse this one time. Her name was Christy, and I would train her 3-4 times a week at 3 o'clock. And I usually had a client right before her. And so for the most part, I didn't get to see Christy's warm-up routine. She would come in and she would do some stuff, and then we'd get right into the workout. One day, my client had to leave a little early, and Christy was stretching, touching her toes before the workout. I said, "You have tight hamstrings?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "How long have you been stretching for?" She's like, "Oh, I do this all the time." I said, "Christy, what's the definition of insanity? You're a nurse. You should know this." She says, "Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results." I said, "Yeah, it's batshit crazy." So if you're stretching your hamstrings, they aren't getting better. Stretching your hamstrings isn't the answer. So if our hamstrings are tight like this and you stretch, what you're doing is, it may feel better momentarily, but what are you doing to that knot right there?
Tightening it.
You're making it worse. So you're not addressing the issue. So who is the regulator of the body? What organ? The brain. The brain's pretty smart. It knows to autonomically keep our heart beating via the SA node and the autonomic part, the pons back here of the brain. It knows that when we have a weird bug or a virus in the system, it's going to heat it up because they're going to try to kill it off with fever. It's awesome. When we have a little injury, it's going to send a message to the brain. Maybe we need to calm down. Headaches are great. Why? Because it tells us that we're dehydrated, that we have a tumor, that we have lack of sleep or something. The brain makes all the rules. So how do you think the brain feels when we say, "Hold on a second, brain, you're wrong. We're not going to be tight. I'm going to make you loose." And so we start stretching. The brain goes and says, "What the fuck are you doing? I just made this area tight for a reason, because something's off within the system. And so now you're trying to loosen it up. Okay, I can play this game. I'm going to play it twice as hard. It's going to make it even tighter." And so we got to take the bigger question and ask, why is that area tight? And for the most part, it's just we're not moving, and she's on her feet a lot. And we're never going to make people feel bad, like, "Oh, you're weak," and so forth. But if we haven't implemented a solid strength training program, just in general, when we squat and hinge and push and pull, for the most part, doing that 2 or 3 times a week and focusing on the patterns and doing it a core accessory and progressively overloading and eliminating stretching for the time being, especially if it's not doing anything. If you want to foam roll, again, foam rolling may help just because it's sending a signal to the system to calm that area down. So then your brain is calming down a little bit. It feels guarded before. More than likely, it's not going to do much. I like to do bridges. I like to do planks and see how those feel. And if you do some bridges and she's feeling it a lot in her hamstrings, then maybe we need to bring her feet out. Maybe we need to bring her toes up. Maybe we need to move her foot position so she really feels it in her glutes. I love to do a bridge on a table or a bench, because if you get into a 90-90 position, so here are her tibias, here is her femur. So this is an extended position. Your glutes have to be firing. And so she's really going to start feeling in her glutes. And you challenge her to hold that for 30 seconds to a minute. And the more she does that, a lot of times the brain is going to calm down the hamstrings. And as we squat and we sit into a chair and come up, whether it's goblet or not, if she has the upper body strength, maybe it's just body weight in the beginning. If you throw on a 5 or 10 pound, that's great. If you bring it out a little bit from the body, then you're going to get the erectors firing a lot more. And she's going to feel it in her low back. She's going to feel it in areas. And that's your body's way of working. It's fatigued. Yeah, we can stop at that rep, rest for a minute or so, do 2 or 3 rounds. But that's one of the questions we have on the quiz essentially is, why do we start with lightweight? It's to work with the movement competency, the neuromuscular communication, make sure the reps are solid and good. The moment that she starts flipping her knees in, I'm going to push on her outside of their knees and say, remember, draw your knees out. And if the next rep is still continually not optimal, then we'll stop and we'll rest, and then we'll repeat with solid reps. You don't want to program bad reps. It's like teaching a kid at a young age that cursing is fine wherever you go, then they're just going to curse. So we got to teach them when it's okay to curse. Maybe it's okay to curse at home, but not in front of other kids or if you're at the supermarket. And so you need to teach the body the proper rep, and then you relax. And then when they're ready to go again, you overload and you keep on going. And so I'll be more than confident that by doing 2 sets, she said she has kind of smaller legs. And so as we age, maybe we've gone through menopause, maybe we more than likely not eating enough protein. So soreness will be a really big factor, especially if she's on her feet all day. There's nothing worse than having really, really sore legs. So just doing 2 sets of 10 on some squats, doing 2 sets of 10, 15 with some bridges, do some planks, do some push-ups. If you have some bands, and doing some rows, doing that 2 to 3 times a week, those same exercises and overloading, she's going to find that back pain is going to come down, and also her hamstrings are going to feel better too. What exercise did you do with her?
Well, kind of like what you were saying today with like learning, she grabbed the dumbbells, just 5 pounds, and she did chest presses, and she was just like kind of all over the place. But like when she got going and like focused, she was starting to like feel the motion and do that. And like, so we did some chest, we did biceps. I mean, she's just, everyone knows the natural feeling of what that should be. So she did that well. The tricep extension was a little more where she was wanting to use her shoulder to swing.
Kickback?
Or yes, for the kickback, yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, not sure if I should have her bent completely over, like using the bench, or just like lean at more of a 45 or like.
You can try doing like a wall push-up or a bench push-up instead, just because it'll be a compound movement, multi-jointed, and you're getting your triceps the closer you go. So I like the dumbbell press. Did you do some push-ups too?
Yeah, when we started at the wall, and then we tried to go to, she's like, this isn't, she kept doing that like neck thing, and like, mm-hmm. And she's like, I'm not feeling it. I'm like, okay, well, let's regress, or, let's just step it up now from a regression and go to maybe like the bench on the knees, and do that. And then I said, and she goes, well, I'm not feeling it here either. And then I said, okay, well, just do a push. Like, you got it. And then she did a push-up and she completely fell on her stomach. Mm-hmm. And then she tried to do the girly push, and I was like, okay, so we'll go back to the wall.
Yeah, good. What I like to do, even I would try that again and just get a pillow, put it on her face, just so, she's not like you're straight, just like your mom, but I'm talking about like pillow on the ground where she falls into it. So it's like, it's a safety marker, because you get in that position and she comes down. I like teaching them to do these more challenging exercises because it sounds like she's ready for it. And also just educating that I couldn't tell you the last, well, I do, but I'll be a little extreme. Like, I couldn't tell you last time I really felt it in my chest when I do a push-up. You got to go to like maximal fatigue to really get that metabolic stress. So I'm feeling it's kind of overrated. When I do a bicep curl, I'm not seeking to feel. When I do a squat, I'm not seeking to feel it in my glutes. Some of the movements you may feel it more or less, but just to re-encourage, that's okay. Your form is good. So you're doing the right mechanics. Let's just get a solid 10 reps. We're going to relax, but just remember, we don't have to feel it every single moment. And there's other, that's the people who will be trained in the Pilates and yoga. You have to feel it. So it's like a mindset thing as well. But it's great to see it, check in, see how she feels tomorrow. And then non-consecutively, you're going to see that with those dumbbell presses, she can go a little heavier probably. How much weight do you have?
Like a mixed match from 5 to 30.
Good. Yeah, so she did 5-pound dumbbells?
Say that again?
Did she do 5-pound dumbbells?
Yeah. And I'm wondering too, like, when you have someone who is starting in like learning just the movement competencies, is it better to start with maybe bands or the light, like, because a lightweight's like, this isn't much, but they're, they're still flailing. And I'm like, all right, well, would you want to try a band? Is it equal, or do they each have their own?
No, you try it out, see which one you prefer and the learning mechanism from the individual. I would just, if you're just going to be like a natural, let's just say mom, where it's like we're overprotective and we don't want it to, so it's like, just start going up and you're going to see that they're going to grasp it. You just want to make sure for the presses that we're at the elbow so they don't fall on their face, but there's going to be some crazy shit going on. It's fine. You just keep on doing it and you're going to get better. It's wax on, wax off. That's just the more repetition. And after the second, third time, you're going to see that she can start with 10s and she'll be able to go up to 12 and a halves and 15s. And then she'll really be moving that weight. And I guarantee you are you like doing goblets or are you doing body weight squats?
We just, like, today was the first one, and she's gonna come back Thursday after work and do like more legs. Like, this was more just movement of upper body.
Good. So did you do a bridge with her at all?
No.
I would do a
We
bridge.
did add like some abs, like on the like some sit-ups. Actually, like, having her like a reverse sit-up, and she can get her hip, elevated off the ground there, because she
That's
wants
good.
to pull the lower abdomen up.
Yeah. So just communicate with her to see if anything's irritating. I'm not saying it will, but sometimes when you flex the spine like that, if there is back pain, it can irritate a little bit. So you just want to get that data to see how she feels. If it were to hurt a little bit more, I would just eliminate that exercise for now and get into more neutral spine exercise like planks. You can just do a push-up position and hold a tall plank. Get down to a regular plank. If she has the upper body strength, do a side plank. I would do a bridge. I'd do a body weight squat, and then a step up or reverse lunge, and do those all for. If she's not that sore from how many sets you do today for upper body?
Probably like 4 or 5.
So you did 5 sets of dumbbell press.
Well, 4 of those, yeah, 4 of the press, and then we did 4 biceps, triceps.
Yeah, I mean
I had her do some front raises, but she was like really wobbly with those.
We weren't going like solid, complete fatigue sets, so that's fine. You're just gonna get feedback from her to see how sore she is. If she was really, really sore, I would bump it down to 3 sets. But again, we're not going to volitional fatigue. We're just learning the exercises. So in that case, it'll be fine. But overall, it sounds like it was a good first day, upper body emphasis. Now just go through those lower body ones, try to get a step up, get some planks in there to see how they are. You'll have to just watch this video again, because in the beginning we addressed that question about the McGill 3.
I gotcha.
Any other questions about today? Thursday, we will get into Josh. Hopefully that was helpful. Jamie, I'll throw this one on YouTube because I thought that was a good question. You said for your mom's in her 50s and beginning workout, and it was more upper body emphasis. So I'll throw that in there as well. All righty, time to talk about NASM next. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay.
I'll see you.